What if Canada cut off the lights to the USA? In North America's intricate web of energy interdependence, Canada and the United States share one of the most robust bilateral relationships. Among the many facets of this relationship is the cross-border flow of electricity, ensuring that regions on both sides of the border operate smoothly. But what would happen if Canada, a significant supplier of electrical power, especially from its abundant hydroelectric resources, decided to cut off its electricity exports to the USA? This thought experiment delves into the immediate, cascading, and long-term effects of such a dramatic move. The current landscape of energy interdependence, Canada, is renowned worldwide for its renewable hydroelectric power generation, particularly in provinces like Quebec, Manitoba, and British Columbia. These vast natural resources not only meet Canada's domestic energy requirements but also feed into the U.S. power grid, particularly during peak demand or unforeseen shortages. This mutually beneficial relationship bolsters regional stability, economic growth, and emergency responsiveness. The notion of one partner suddenly halting its energy exports challenges this delicate balance, exposing vulnerabilities inherent in cross-border energy dependencies. Immediate infrastructure and grid disruptions. Should Canada decide to sever its electricity exports, the most immediate effect would be felt across those regions of the United States that rely heavily on Canadian power. Critical areas such as the northeastern states and parts of the Midwest would experience sharp jolts to grid stability. Here's what might unfold. Widespread blackouts. Urban centers and rural communities alike could be plunged into darkness as transmission systems designed with a specific power mix in mind struggle to handle the abrupt gap. Strain on backup systems. Facilities with alternative power sources, hospitals, data centers, and emergency services would immediately shift to generators and on-site batteries. However, these backups are generally designed for short-term crises and would quickly be overtaxed. Systemic failures. As power surges in some areas while plummeting in others, critical infrastructure like traffic signals, water treatment facilities, and communication networks could malfunction, compounding the chaos. Economic shockwaves and industry disruption. The economic ramifications of losing a major energy partner would be as diverse as they are profound. U.S. industries, both large and small, rely on consistent, predictable energy supplies. A sudden cutoff would trigger a domino effect in multiple sectors. Sector, immediate impact. Long-term implication, diversified grid system. Infrastructure. Grid instability causing blackouts and operational disruptions. Accelerated investment in resilient, diversified grid systems. Manufacturing. Production slowdowns, increased energy costs affecting output levels. A strategic shift toward energy self-reliance and localized generation. Technology, data centers and critical IT systems at risk due to power interruptions. Surge in demand for sustainable backup solutions and microgrids. Public services, overburdened emergency services and public panic amid unreliable power. Reforms in energy policy and infrastructure emergency planning. Industries would face skyrocketing electricity prices as markets scramble for alternatives. The increased production costs could lead to higher consumer prices, disruptions in supply chains, and eroded investor confidence, instigating an economic downturn that transcends the energy sector. Political and diplomatic ramifications. A unilateral decision by Canada to cut off electricity would ripple far beyond electrical grids. It would become a profound diplomatic crisis. Politically, the act might be interpreted as a breach of long-standing trade agreements, prompting a severe reevaluation of bilateral trust. Key consequences might include diplomatic tensions. The U.S. government would likely demand immediate dialogues and could even pursue retaliatory economic measures, such as tariffs on Canadian goods. Revised trade agreements. In the wake of disrupted energy exchanges, both nations would be compelled to renegotiate terms and conditions governing cross-border trade and energy cooperation. Shifts in political alliances. The incident could spur alliances with alternative energy partners or foster a push toward energy policies that reduce dependence on external sources. This scenario underscores the importance of stability in all international agreements, not just those explicitly about energy, and the risks geopolitical maneuvering can pose to national infrastructure. Public reaction and social upheaval. At the community level, the sudden deprivation of a critical resource would influence daily life in dramatic ways. The American public might experience widespread uncertainty and outrage. As blackout headlines dominate and economic pressures mount, civic unrest and public outcry would rise. Citizens would demand swift corrective action and transparent government communication. Community-level adaptations. In response to unreliable public power systems, households, businesses, and local governments might heavily invest in alternative energy solutions such as private generators, local solar arrays, and community microgrids. Social and political mobilization. Protests, town hall meetings, and increased political activism could become commonplace as communities press for both immediate relief and long-term reform. Public sentiment, often a potent force in shaping governmental policies, could drive significant political changes, reinforcing the need for responsive and resilient public service systems. Redefining energy policy and achieving greater independence. Long after the immediate crisis fades, the lessons learned from such a disruptive act would likely spur a profound transformation in U.S. energy policy. Accelerated investment in renewables. The need for a more self-sufficient energy grid could catalyze an expanded focus on solar, wind, geothermal, and other renewable resources, reducing dependence on a single external supplier. Enhanced grid modernization. Investments in technology to transform and safeguard the aging power grid would become a priority, along with developing advanced energy storage solutions that can buffer against sudden supply shocks. Decentralized energy production. Communities and industries might pivot toward microgrids and localized power systems, enhancing regional resilience and ensuring that energy supply remains stable, even if centralized systems fail. This push for energy autonomy would not only mitigate future risks of dependency, but also position the United States as a leader in innovative energy solutions for the 21st century. Potential strategic motivations and consequences. While the idea of Canada deliberately cutting off its power exports may seem extreme, exploring the strategic motivations behind such an act reveals a nuanced picture. Political or economic disagreements, such as disputes over trade balances, environmental standards, or energy pricing, could, in an alternative reality, drive a nation to leverage its critical resources as a bargaining chip. However, the severe retaliatory repercussions, including economic sanctions and diplomatic isolation, would likely deter Canada from such a drastic move in any rational geopolitical climate. This scenario is a stark reminder of how intertwined energy policy is with national strategy and international relations, a catalyst for resilience and innovation. The hypothetical scenario of Canada cutting off the lights to the USA starkly illustrates the fragility hidden within our vast interconnected energy networks. Immediate grid failures, economic instability, diplomatic strife, and social upheaval are just some of the challenges that would arise. Yet from this crisis could emerge a transformative opportunity, a push toward diversified energy sources, strengthened infrastructure, and more resilient public policies. This thought experiment is not merely an exercise in speculation. It serves as an urgent reminder of the importance of energy security and the need for cooperative, forward-thinking policies. As nations worldwide continue to navigate the complexities of global interdependence, ensuring robust, flexible, and sustainable energy frameworks will be crucial in safeguarding against the unforeseen disruptions of tomorrow. In reflecting on this scenario, one might also ask, what other aspects of modern infrastructure are silently dependent on international cooperation, and how might they be fortified against future uncertainties? The contemplations extend beyond electricity, inviting a broader discussion on resilience in an ever-changing world.